you have any thoughts or comments as we go through this, feel free to jump in. So we had a couple things that's on the agenda to discuss for today. And so one of the things that came up was the trash bins. So we know that Habitat for Humanity did not do Rock the Block this year. And we had a lot of residents that was really looking forward to Rock the Block and the opportunity to discard a lot of their larger trash items in the bins that was going to be provided with Rock the Block. So I had some conversations with Carrie Hartley over at Habitat, the development director for Habitat, and she had something with the city, where the city was willing to provide a trash bin during Rock the Block. The city was going to take care of that expense to provide at least one. And so I spoke with her to ask if the city would still be willing to provide that one, even though Rock the Block itself isn't going to be going on, but perhaps it could be more of a community-based initiative or project. So she was contacting the city. We do believe that the city is still willing to provide a trash trash bin for the residents. And I would talk to a few residents about taking up a collection amongst the neighborhood to rent another dumpster to go along with that one the city's going to provide. So I'm still looking to having some more conversation with the community about that. And I'll be working this week to get a hold of, I forgot the name of the company, but I've been looking to get a hold of the trash company so we can find out how much it is to reserve a second trash bin. And that way we know how much money we would need to raise towards that as well. So, and then there was a conversation as to where we were planning on putting the dumpsters. We know that we can't put it on East Maumee Street, but we was thinking perhaps maybe putting it at Parish Park. That's typically where we put them at before. So maybe placing them there again and have the residents bring the trash down to Parish Park and having it just stationed there for a weekend. And so that's kind of where I was at with that thus far. And so we know that we pretty much got the one. We just got to obtain the second one, then decide, make sure that we get the right permits or permission from the city to place both dumpsters at Parish Park. I think that typically is where we put that before, and I think it'd be a good spot to put it at again. It just worked out really good for us in times past. If anybody have any thoughts on that? Okay, let's go see. We have another one. Okay. It should have moved, but I can't see. Okay. So for the ones that are just joining us, we were talking about the trash bins. We're talking about the trash bins. We know that Rock the Block was canceled with Habitat, so the city had agreed to provide a trash bin during Rock the Block. So we were discussing that, and I was also Carrie Hartley at Habitat to see the city would still be willing to provide that trash bin. We believe that the city was, and so we were discussing perhaps having a second trash bin there for this particular event, and having the residents come together to take a collection amongst the residents to purchase or to rent that second trash bin. And then just kind of with a date for it and location. I think Parish Park is a location that had worked out for us in the past. So maybe having those two dumpsters placed there. And then it's a matter of coming up also a date for it. Want to definitely do it before the snow falls, before it gets too cold. So I'm hoping to have a conversation with Carrie on Monday or Tuesday so that I can confirm with her about the first dumpster, get the price for the second one, and start working with the residents and community and kind of divvy it up to figure out how much money we need to collect from the residents in order to get the second one. And I think that that'd be a good buy-in from the residents as well, to be able to collectively work together to get a second dumpster for the community. So if I'm mistaken, it'll be the first time that I know of that a community have come together in that effort. So I think that will go well. And I've already talked to some residents about it, and they're all for it. They're waiting for me to get back to them and let them know how much we're trying to raise for it. Hopefully, it's not an incredible amount that we would have to raise for it. But do we have any thoughts? Any thoughts on that before we go on to the next agenda item? Okay. The next agenda item that we had was we have the Blight Action Committee, and we had our first Blight Action Committee meeting in September, and the next one is scheduled for October 23rd, 2020. And just having some conversations. Just having conversations just with blight in our community, the city's approach to blight, and also looking to get resident engagement and involvement with that, so that the residents of our community have a voice when it comes to blight action and what that's going to look like moving forward. I was asked to bring two residents to the next Blight Action Committee meeting. So I have Mr. Brad Rollo at 911 Erie Street and Mr. Robert Love that's going to attend that meeting with me on October 23rd. And what I'll be looking for is I'll talk to them about having them report back to the coalition so that we can have information based on their experience, what they observed at the Blight Action Committee meeting. I have talked to some residents of the community that have received letters from the city regarding blight on their properties, and I've talked to some other community workers as well. And we were working with one resident specifically right now that did receive a letter from the city to work with them to address the blight issue that was brought to their attention. And we have a few residents, a few other community individuals that's working with them as well to help kind of clean up their property. So we have seen somewhat of a response from the community as far as assistance when it comes to these matters. But it is bringing us some conversations within the community. So having residents attend the Blight Action Committee and kind of voice the concerns of the community, I think it's going to be great. And what they're able to bring back to the residents as well. And just to kind of have that flow of information and that partnership between the city and the residents, and sitting down at the table having these conversations. So I'm still learning a lot about it. I'm trying to learn about what it means, what we're hoping to accomplish, what kind of impact it will have on the community, especially the portion of the community that's marginalized, and that has some financial difficulties. So just looking to have more of those conversations and to see what the residents' takeaway will be, and what things we might be able to put in place on a local community level to address those situations where our residents don't have to tackle that challenge on their own. And that's some of the things we've seen. I know we've got a property over on Erie Street that received a letter, and we've got a few residents that have jumped in to help them out. And I was also talking to a few other residents as well, and they also put out that if I find out of any other residents in our community that receive letters, to let them know, because we want to be really proactive in helping residents in the community tackle these things. Instead of dealing with court fines and things where we know they're already struggling. So, does somebody have any thoughts on that? I know again, I'm still learning. I'm still learning about it. This will be my second meeting that I will be attending on October 23rd. So, do you have any thoughts? And towards the end, I'm going to double back to the trash bin conversation, just so that we can kind of work on some ideas for a date. So I would like to be able to approach the city with a date in mind as well. So just kind of keep that in your mind. The third agenda item is, and Mayor Heath, if you're able to, you can talk to this a little bit, is the shared Christmas tree for the Human Relations Commission and the Resident Coalition.
Yes. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm literally in the middle of Iowa, so I was concerned if you could hear me. My cell service has been coming in and out. Sorry that I'm joining you late. I had the wrong Zoom. I was sitting on waiting on the wrong Zoom. So, yes, I purchased a tree that I have the human tree for all the trees that are down there. I knew that these two groups are very important and special to me, and I thought it'd be really nice to have them on A3 Coalition. There's quite a few that happen to also be on Human Relations Commission, and I didn't want to give each group a tree to decorate when there's a lot of the same people, and I feel like a lot of what we try to accomplish is all of the same. You know, we have a lot of the same ideas and thoughts and, you know, general concerns for the city, and so I just thought like this would be really great to combine together. Both names will be listed on the sign. I did make sure of that, you know, that it'll be the tree that's for both groups to decorate. It's up to you guys what you want to do. I don't know. Do you want to? One thought I had is just like, you know, we decorate it and like I can laminate them or whatever if you want to do something like that, where it's like something that you write out like different agencies and or issues or you know, if it's, you know, I don't care what you want to do. You know, it's up to you how you want to decorate it. I can help you with that. There are some certain days that you go down to decorate, you know, and I can help with that as well. But I just wanted to do that and have that for representation down at the Constant Tree Park. So I'm leaving it up to you on how you want to go about like what things you want to put on the tree. And I guess that's the discussion I would like to have to know.
All right, awesome. If you could let us know the dates for the tree decorating. Somebody at the front door?
Yeah, I was trying to look on a calendar. I'm going to go off video for a second. Look. Okay. I do believe that it's. I feel like they're going to start. I can't remember what it's on the paper, and I don't have it with me. I'm sorry, I don't remember what it is. Right. I feel like it is November 30th. You know, like, or it might be December 1st, which is a Tuesday, but usually they begin it on that Monday. Sometimes they're beginning it on Sunday. I feel like it's right in there, but I'm sorry, I don't have the paperwork with me. I didn't actually bring that. I wasn't even thinking about that. So, actually, let me look at my husband's phone because I think it is actually on, I do believe it is on the website for the city of Adrian, the paperwork, and it says it on there. So I'll look while you try to figure that out maybe.
Okay, all right. But that gives us some time to get that information out to the rest of the community, and the HRC and the coalition can figure out what exactly it wants to do. So I think that'd be good. Yeah. So let's see. Anyone else have any thoughts? As Lisa wrote that site ready. I think the pairing the two groups will raise visibility for A3. And I agree. I will do that as well. Does anybody else have any thoughts? And also, we've got, it's 4 of us here right now. So we got Chris Carter over here, Jen Carter here, Don over here. That's present with me. I know we can see who's up there, but we can't see who's here. So we kind of spaced out a little bit. Then the next agenda item is I just want us to be aware of what the coalition has financially, as well as what money we have. And we haven't discussed that I think in some time. So what's been happening is I think we raised $200 something from our cook-off, and then Habitat itself donated a few dollars to the coalition, and then during COVID, over the months, we collected a lot of bottles and cans at the Habitat office, and Habitat gave those cans to the coalition. So we currently have $461.24 that the coalition has in its treasury. And I know I mentioned some time ago about doing a fundraiser like T-shirt sales. So whenever that becomes a possibility again, something I think would be good to revisit. Because I was looking at trying to have a partnership with Walmart, and that pre-COVID, they were going to let us set up a tent outside of their store and allow us to sell T-shirts there as a part of a fundraiser. So, but now that COVID is going on, that's not so much of an opportunity right now, but hopefully something that we can revisit a little later. But I just wanted the coalition to be aware of what our finances were thus far, and also whenever Habitat collects a larger number of pop bottles and cans, I take those cash in and I give that money to the coalition. So it won't grow by hundreds of dollars, but we'll still get some money added on to it as we continue throughout the year. And even I may even contact a few other companies to see if they'd be willing to donate their pop bottles and cans, and we give that money to the coalition to add on. So just an idea of some way to bring some additional funds in to the coalition. Any comments on that before we go to the next agenda item? Okay. And with no comments, I'm going to hand you over to Joaquin. Commissioner Joaquin.
All right, I guess it's my turn. A few things have happened since then. I'm pretty sure many of you were in the first of the two city commission meetings since the last A3 meeting. Of course, recently came up the urban chickens, which is a little bit more interesting in the next meeting. Of course, the part most of you probably remembers the talk about the parks ordinance and the hour we spent on that in meeting. Of course, the commission ended up going through with unanimously voting to adjust the ordinance, make it more difficult for people to be in the park at all, as well as making it harder on homeless people more so. Because, of course, anything that affects the park is going to affect the homeless more than a normal, an average person with a house. But, of course, a lot of people spoke out against this. One person in the meeting spoke for it, and I think it was a dozen other people that spoke against it, including some names here. I said something, of course, staying on how I was homeless, how few resources there are for the homeless here in Adrian, and of course putting forward ideas that have been shown to work across the country and in other parts of the world, such as housing people in hotels till COVID's over, or the housing first policies. We had Sister Pat and Andrea both speak, Commissioner Bernard and Commissioner Harvett speak. D'Angelo also spoke for a bit on it. And we had a dozen people, at least 5 of them were in this call, I'm pretty sure. Of course, despite what the community had to say, it was passed anyways. And someone pointed out that maybe a few things should have been done before they moved to this step. That's up for a conversation. But what happened and of course, the sunset issue, because right now it closes from sunset to sunrise. I imagine it's going to create a lot of issues when we are to do A3 again. I imagine it's going to create a lot of issues for any park events. But we'll cross that when we get there. a whole bunch of people also got either appointed or reappointed. I forget the exact terms of these boards, but a lot of them are 2-3 years, so it happens pretty regularly. There was also a fairly large sale by the city to a business, about 500,000. They could counter offered for a little bit more. There was some confusion about if they were listening to their admin or not when they went from the original bid to a lower bid. From what I've heard, and we have two people here who could clarify, but from my understanding, it's the business one lower bid. And yeah, they could have like halted things and did a counter bid, but that would have added days, weeks, meetings, whatever. But hopefully some of that money will be used for public good of our people. Then, it had been added to the agenda rather randomly, but well, it came up. But Stevens Disposal is increasing their rates, so the city had make some decisions upon if they're going to deal with that and what we're going to do moving forward. Sounds like they're going to try to make a more comprehensive contract to prevent rates going up in the middle of things again, which I hope the best on that. The last time I came in front of the coalition, I had mentioned that they had talked about an ambulance and about a fire inspector. The fire inspector might have been able to assist in saving them all because there would have been regular checks, of course. There's a lot of other issues there besides just that. But the ambulance, and at first they seemed a little bit apprehensive, but in this meeting, the commission was pretty all for the idea of getting a new ambulance, which, given that we're in COVID times, is extremely important. If I remember correctly, the fire chief said it takes about an hour and a half to decontaminate a ambulance just from suspecting they had a COVID patient. So that's like an hour plus that the ambulance just isn't able to run. So particularly important to have another one on hand. Of course, it'll take a while to get it, even if they did approve it very next meeting. There was also some revisions to the compost site fees. I doubt it's going to affect anyone in this meeting, but just for the information, the idea is to do it instead of from by business to be by truckload, which does make more sense. There was also some discussion, I guess there's some, for lack of a better term, road shenanigans going on. Miles Drive might get turned into a trucking road. I don't think they made a full decision on that. I think they're going to try to contact some of the other people involved before they move forward. Again, there's two people in this meeting that could say if I'm wrong, so. But a road was closed down, another road's kind of an odd access road, and the road that's currently being used for trucking wasn't originally built that way, so from my understanding, it's deteriorating fairly quickly. Then there was some confusion about what are we going to be able to do as far as Zoom meetings in the city commission, partially because some of the laws are a little bit weird, and also, commissioners have some feelings about technology. I personally prefer that everyone remains safe and on Zoom, but some people have issues with technology. So we'll see how that shakes out. There was some talk about getting another truck, which sounds like they're going to, though. A citizen made a good point of questioning the spending of money right in the middle of a pandemic, which I'm not quite sure how needed the truck was, but that might be a worthwhile question. An ambulance is obviously going to be helping in the middle of a pandemic, but another truck, I don't know. And there was also some And I said there was more talk on these urban chickens, which isn't passed yet. They're going to send to the planning committee, and the planning committee will get back to them, and that'll move forward. But possibly by this time next year, we'll have chickens in the city that are there permitted and not just illegal chickens. And there was also some questions from a resident about some of the records of like who vote on what for agenda, the resume of the candidates that are coming up for an appointment, as well as a couple other things. I'll just like go and throw in that the current agenda is regularly not properly updated. I think it was the last meeting, but the meeting before that I had complained. I think the meeting before that one I had. There was also a member comment from Commissioner Bernard, remind everyone that the candidate forum by the NAACP is on October 22nd at 6:30 p.m. I'm like 80% sure that I got that all correct. And if D'Angelo would like, I'll post a link to it when I find out, like after I go double check. And also I brought up, because of the new rules, by the time the meeting was nearing its end in public comment, it was about 7:30. I casually look out my window. I'm pretty close downtown, and I could easily walk to like 3 parks within like 10 minutes. It's already sunset by 7:30. So I went and brought that up. Of course, sure, right now that doesn't matter as much in a pandemic. I ain't definitely mad the homeless people get a few less hours, but part of my concern being all the different events that happen, as well as, of course, the people who are now affected worse by this. Besides that, also a lot of the responsibility of how to assist the homeless people and addiction and mental health are also being pushed on to the HRC. And if you have ideas, let the HRC know. We're already reaching out to the community to get into contact with you, but I think it is fair to note that it's pushed on to a group of volunteers who are unpaid, who haven't had the appropriate amount of funding. I'm hoping better this time around, but we've been given a lot of work to do and not much more help than the last time around. Again, that might change where this was decided upon the last meeting, so things might change. Think about covers anything in the normal commission meetings. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Sounds like I was fairly accurate because no one's piped up to correct me.
I don't have any questions.
Let me try that over again, since I was on mute. Madam Mayor, would you like me to address some of those issues, or would you like to do that?
You can go ahead. That's fine.
Gee, thanks. I won't remember all of the issues you raised, Joaquin, but the property on Beecher that was sold for $500,000, even though we had an initial offer of $600,000. The buyer reduced their offer because the city decided that we wanted to retain the mineral rights, and the buyer was interested in having the mineral rights, and we were interested in having the mineral rights, and made the decision that we would keep them, and they lowered their offer by $100,000. Which is $25,000 acre and is a lot more money than we've gotten anywhere else. So that's, that's something that's was a good thing. Let's see, what else did you ask about?
Well, he asked about Miles Drive, which that just
Miles
came
Drive.
up. Yeah, that came up because there is increased business traffic on that road, but that road also is being used by residents of Madison Township, and that's where the discussion has come. It was left to have to our city engineer to have some conversations with all of those businesses that are using that road, because there's been increased traffic of those businesses on that road. But also, he is going to be having a conversation with the owner of that mobile home park there in Madison Township, and possibly the Madison Township supervisor, to see, what can be done on that side too, because he's heard there is some possibility of some discussion on, they really want to access that road and, see what they're willing to go in on that. But there's many businesses now that are using that road that did not in the past, and they're trying to figure out how can they special assess those businesses and get them to pay for that road. And so they're having conversations right now. That's all they're doing. And just having he's literally having conversations with all those different entities to try to figure that out. That road just came up because there's been a lot of discussion about it. It wasn't actually even on his original agenda to talk about, but there's just been more discussion about it because of of people using that road, businesses and the residents of Madison Township that are using it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The reason that we have increased truck traffic on that street is because the Adrian Blissfield Railroad has barricaded a railroad crossing back on the road. And I don't even know the name of the road, their street that they blocked. But the road that the trucks used to use to get to their businesses, they are no longer able to use. So now they're using Miles Drive, which up until a year and a half ago was not in terrible condition, wasn't in great condition. But the increased truck traffic on a street that wasn't built for truck traffic is creating this issue. And as the mayor said, in fact, we had a complaint before I was a commissioner back in the day. A gentleman came in and complained about how the poor shape that street was in, and it was pointed out by one of the other commissioners that he was complaining about an Adrian City street that he was using to get to Madison Township, because he lived at the back of Sterling Estates, and he just didn't think it was right that the road that he took every day to work and home again was in such bad shape, and the city of Adrian ought to fix his. I think your internet froze on the road. So that one. What else did you say, Joaquin?
But specifically, how about next? Could you give further detail about the Stephen Disposal's dumpster contract thing that had to be brought up?
Yeah,
I know it's very quick, but I didn't put as good of notes down.
The issue that I think you touched on, if I understand what you were saying, is after the pandemic and when this group or anything D'Angelo's involved with wants to use the park, and it's before or after sunset, there will be, and the ordinance provides for permits to be issued to allow for those kinds of activities in the park. So I don't think it's going to negatively affect this group or other groups like it. I know that in the past, the NAACP has wanted to have things in Trestle Park and places like that. That's still going to be available to everyone. So if there's anything else that comes up during the meeting, I'll be happy to try to respond to it.
Yes, there is. As I was asking, could you explain the Stephen Disposal thing of why the contract had to be edited in a little bit more detail?
I don't have all the details, Joaquin, but I know that the current contract was expiring or has expired. I think it expired a couple of months ago. And Stephen's
It already expired.
Yeah,
yes.
I did. Yeah, I thought it had. It has expired, and whenever we have to renew a contract, the business that we're contracting with usually wants to raise their rates. So I expect that that's what we're going to see when they actually negotiate the rates.
And from my understanding, there's like an issue in the previous contract, which is something that you want to, well, not you specific. I imagine you'll be involved, but
Oh, I'm
the commission was going to try to set up the contract a little bit differently this next time so that they can hopefully not have some of the similar issues.
Yeah, I think so. And I'll ask the mayor, if, you know, my memory's not that great because I'm getting old, but wasn't there discussion about combining commercial and residential trash disposal by Stevens?
What it was is right now the downtown, like the commercial doesn't match up, like the municipality, like our Stevens disposal for that doesn't match when we do the residential contract. So we're going to get them so they start to match up so that we can maximize a benefit so that we can try to do these spring cleanups. Like that's something that got taken out because they're like, well, you don't have enough money. And that's what we want to negotiate, because that has been probably one of the biggest, I don't want to say complaints, I want to say like biggest issues. Like I saw it as a really big issue that we were no longer able to do those big spring cleanups where you put everything out to the curb that you want to get rid of, especially things like you can't just throw out in the trash, like furniture and big items like that. And it was because we were literally losing thousands of dollars, but that's what we want to try to negotiate. Look, we're going to give you this contract. We're going to put them all together. We're going to make this big package. And that's what we want to get included in there. We all feel like that is a big need in our city to have those big cleanups, whether it's spring or fall. I don't care. We just need it. We need like that once a year big cleanup. And that is something the residents have really asked for, because especially like if you're older, if you don't have a car that you can haul furniture in, if it's a TV, you know, just items like that. And people want to, you know, clean up, and that's going to help with blight too. And but we need to have that available, and that just hasn't been. And so I know they want to get that contract on the same schedule so that we can make it like one big agreement with Stevens Disposal so we can get that back.
Yeah, and again, piggybacking on what the mayor said, you know, we used to have back in the day both a spring and fall cleanup. I mean, it worked out pretty well. It got expensive, so one of the two were eliminated. And to me, it doesn't matter whether it's spring or fall, as long as it happens. The challenge that we had after the last one, which was, I think, probably 2 years ago now, the city had budgeted $85,000 for that service. The bill came in at $125,000. And while I don't think anybody could ever prove it, there was speculation that a part of that additional expense that was not anticipated resulted from a number of people, a number of residents in the city actually having their friends and relatives from outside of the city come and add their trash to the city's, or the citizens' trash. So we got a lot more trash than anybody expected because they weren't city residents that were dropping the stuff off. So, I mean, we can miss the budget by a few $1,000s, even $10,000, but you don't blow it by $40,000. That's just kind of unheard of. So anyway, that's the explanation here. But as the mayor said, yeah, we'd like to get back to the situation where we can at least pick up once a year and get the mattresses and the chairs and the washing machines or whatever the hell there is out there off the curb and out of people's homes. So that's as much.
Just a couple more things,
Mm-hmm.
and I will turn the meeting back over to D'Angelo. So one, the NAACP thing is indeed October 22nd, 6:30 p.m. For the candidate forum.
And unfortunately, most of the absentee ballots will have been cast by that point in time.
That's something I complained about for years now.
Yeah, and so have I.
Also, as far as I can tell, the only people in the forum, as silly as it sounds, is only Wahlberg and Driscoll. I imagine most people already have their mind made up between those two.
Right.
So
I think there is another, it's not a candidate forum for necessarily discussions back and forth, whereas there's a group of other people who are running, I think Brana and Will Garcia, and I think Bill Swift and Dave Stimson. They're
Are
going
you
to
talking about the League of Women Voters Forum?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about the League of Women Voters Forum?
No, the NAACP has one.
Oh, another one?
At least that was the notice I got from them the other day. I'll look while we're talking.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find it. And they may have been advertising the League of Women Voters forum too.
Because the League of Women Voters Forum was last Thursday. I know because Bill Swift and Juanita Kelly are part of the LENDEMs. They're officers. Juanita's the chair. And I, as secretary, of course, need to have an idea of what's going on in the meeting. So they had the forum first and then came to the meeting like normal.
Okay, I'm looking at the email that I got from the NAACP. It's a Meet the Candidates webinar, and it's going to be held this Wednesday, the 15th at 6:30. I've got the Zoom link, which I can send over to D'Angelo, and he can distribute it out. Brana and Will Garcia, Bill Swift, Juanita Kelly, Scott Smith, Jenny Escott will be on that Meet the Candidates webinar. My understanding, candidates will have 10 to 15 minutes to talk about themselves, tell their qualifications, and why we should vote for them. There will not be any questions asked of the candidates. So different than the candidate forum, just a meet the candidate thing. So.
And I heard the reason of the forum only having those two candidates, Joaquin, is this is what I had heard, is that they just weren't comfortable doing it via Zoom and having the ask. A lot of the candidates just weren't comfortable with that setup, and so that's why they opted out and just are doing this meet and greet. That, at least that's just a rumor I heard, but that is what I heard about that, and that's why we only had those two that were going to do the actual candidate forum.
Well, I can tell you the fault does not fall on the Democratic candidates. Most of them I know, and I know that they were excited to do a forum regardless of what way it was. Of course, you can't just have a candidate do it without their opponent there. It's not an actual proper candidate forum then. So one side's more at fault for this than the other. Now, also, I'm going to pick on Gordon and the mayor here, but would one of you like to just briefly walk through where someone would get a permit for the parks? So if I wanted to get a permit from, say, 6 to 11, do I go to
Well,
the
yeah.
city hall?
I can tell you, you go to Rebecca. Yeah, you go to Rebecca, who is literally directly across from my office. So if you were in City Hall, she's the Parks and Engineering assistant, and she's on the first floor. And so if you were to go up to where you pay your water bill, you know, and not there, but directly behind you, but closer to my office. So I mean, she's literally, I look at her when I leave my office. So if you come across from the mayor's office, she's right there. She's the one who does all the permits. So if somebody wants to have a softball tournament at Heritage Park, she is the one you go to for that. I mean, she does anything like that for the permits. So it would be through her.
But I want to correct any misconception, Joaquin. You can't go in there and get a permit for a permanent time, you know, for forever. You can go in there and get one for that day. You know, it's not I want it for a week, I want it for 2 weeks, I don't want it for the month. You got to go in every day and get the permit, much like you have to go to the fire department to get a burn permit for the city. And I don't think they really issue permits. They say, yeah, go ahead and do it. But yeah, so that's
my next major question.
And it could be like a week, but it can be like a weekend event or whatever. Like I know, like a dance studio in the middle of COVID, they had contacted City Hall and said, can we use Trestle Park amphitheater? Like, can we get a permit to use Trestle Park so we can have our recital? And that was like a 3-day event, but there were specific times and when they were going to be utilizing it. So just, does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah, I was looking more at it from I want to hang out in the park tonight kind of thing. Yeah, so I mean, I'll defer to you on that.
Well, from my understanding, usually with permits, you also have to put from one time to the other. So if I'm going to be there from 7 to midnight because that's when I'm hosting a 3, then
right.
I need to get something for that.
Right.
And I'm imagining that these are done very similar to the way that the courthouse does with their lawn, where you go in, you can get it like, oh, I want it for in 2 weeks from now on Saturday and stuff like that. Unless, of course, it's already been rented, whatever. All right, so that's just at City Hall then, right across from your office, you said, Mayor Heath?
That is correct. That is correct. And if she's not there, somebody can direct you to another person, because she's usually there every day. But, you know, if for some reason she was gone, there's somebody else that would be able to do it. But she's typically there. You know, obviously she takes lunch, but she's there all the time when I'm there. So.
Is this the same Rebecca that used to be up on the second floor?
She probably was on the second floor. I don't know why she's on the first, because she's not even near the people she works with. Like, it's kind of funny that they have her down there, but yeah, I think so. I think that's where they moved
like
her.
when I rented the room, and D'Angelo was there, when I rented the room for, and you were there too, at the Piotr Center, I talked to somebody named Rebecca to do that. I'm assuming it's the same one, but she does the conference room rentals as well.
Yes, that would be right, because I know she does stuff at Piotr Center. Yep.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
I think I'm done interrogating you two. I'll turn the meeting back over to D'Angelo.
All right, thank you, Joaquin. Appreciate it. Lisa Eddy, I don't know if you had anything to report. I know she attends some of the meetings for us. So I know she listened.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Hi, everyone. I sent a document to the email list, and I'm not going to go over everything in it, but basically, since I left the classroom, I've been working on anti-racist education in the community. And on my document, I kind of go over a little bit what some of you know, because you were in my classes, or you know people that were in my classes. I talk about what kind of educator I was in the classroom, and then after that I talk about what I'm doing in the community. And along with being a member of the A3 Coalition, I'm also a member of NAACP. And the way that I advocate for anti-racism in the community, mostly these days, is through writing my blog at Citizen Teacher. And I use it to be a gadfly to Adrian Public Schools and talk about experiences I have had and research I've done, and things that students and families have experienced that are relevant to anti-racism, to issues of equity and access for all people in the community. Currently, Adrian Public Schools is revisiting their sexual harassment policy, and so I have been writing to them, to their Title IX coordinators, to their school board about issues that are relevant to sexual harassment, to a safe school climate, and to gender equity. And I'm also starting a new research project where I ask people what their gendered experience in education has been like. And I got one response back, and the key word that that person used to describe their experience of gender at school was terrorism. So that these are issues that intersect. You know, a student could be a person of color, they could be LGBTQ, they could be living on the east side, they could have other trauma issues going on in their lives. And so all of these issues are related when we talk about education and the effects on the students and the community. So in my document, I give some information about the kinds of work I've been doing and what I'm working on going forward. I just contacted Deanne Hennigan to pair up with her to be on the education committee for the NAACP. And the NAACP tries to hold the public schools accountable for issues of equity. And the Adrian Public Schools has recently opened up training for social justice leaders through the Washtenaw ISD. I used to go up there often and get training in anti-racism. And now that the district is offering pay for going to the training, there are so many people signing up that there's a wait list now. But of course, that doesn't mean everybody wants transformation, but everybody definitely wants $22 an hour to hear about the possibility. So we'll be looking to see if anything results in a climate change or practice change from this new training. And I started giving anti-racism workshops, basically from one white person to other white people. How do we educate ourselves and get started in becoming anti-racists and working to make the organizations and institutions we're part of anti-racist, inclusive, and diverse. And I'm available to do those kind of workshops, to do the performance that's based on my research of alumni, to lead talking circles, to do book clubs. Oh, the Lenawee Human Services Collaborative has been doing a book club on how to be an anti-racist, but because of my broken wrist and some issues with a relative who has a terminal illness, I haven't had the emotional energy to join in the book club discussions because, as most of you know, doing this work is really can be very emotionally draining and traumatizing. So you have to pace yourself and measure out what you can participate in. But that's what I'm up to in the community, and I'm here for as a resource and as a helper to anyone in the coalition who wants to work on these issues or to collaborate with NAACP efforts or whatnot. Thank you for listening. I'll answer any questions.
Are there any questions or any thoughts for Lisa? I'm hearing none. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that report. And the next agenda item is the trunk or treat event. Last year we did a trunk or treat event at Family Christian Worship Center. And it was quite an event, quite an experience. I know Linda Easley was there with us last year with the, and I think Sharon Weber, Sharon Weber was there. Maybe, I think Sharon Weber was there with us.
So was the rain. So was the rain.
Yeah, but along with the rain and and winds.
I think I made it into the rain, D'Angelo.
You say, yeah, maybe it was this is probably one of them. Okay, is there? I know we had a lot of rain, a lot of wind that was associated with that event. But we received the guidelines from the Lenawee County Health Department regarding trunk or treat. The Department of Human Services, the Department of Health and Human Services has canceled their trunk or treat event this year. And I was looking over the new guidelines for trunk or treat, and the way they've got it, the way they want to see it situated, I'm not really sure if we can pull that off as a coalition. So that's kind of just
Ready?
so it's going to be I will, well, Halloween's like right around the corner, right? So I am more leaning towards not doing trunk or treat this year, and maybe we focus on the tree decoration for the coalition in partnership with the Human Relations Commission. I think that the way they want trunk or treat done this year is like a drive-through trunk or treat, and you kind of lose that personal experience and that community engagement component. And that's kind of one of the things that I look forward to with the trunk or treat is that we got the community residents together to engage with other community residents. And the way this would be set up, we wouldn't have that engagement this year. So I don't see it being as beneficial for the community and for socialization, for the social cohesion of the community this year. So we're probably going to pull back from trunk or treat. I know that's the direction Habitat would like to go with it. And if we lose the social aspect of it, I think that's probably the direction the community probably should do as well. Any thoughts?
D'Angelo, this is Socorro. Is there a way that if residents, could let us know they had children, like the Great Pumpkin or some variation thereof, could drop treats to the kids?
That's an idea. Yeah, I can put that out there. Or we can get it.
Because I have a feeling that's something that some residents would probably get on board with helping out with, and that way you don't have to worry about the social distancing. You have a group of people who are just dropping off treats at the houses for people who are interested.
So kind of like a reverse trick or treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people were doing that with like wine for adults, but obviously we wouldn't be doing that.
Right. I think it's a great idea. So what I can do is I can reach out to residents within the Paris Park community and start having that conversation. And then I can get back with you this towards the end of this week.
Yeah. And I can get my group to help out.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Make a group in Facebook and then put it on there. And we can nurture it like that. So if there's people that they could put their information in there.
So Carl,
Familiar with the line.
is it possible? Just an idea that one of the residents here mentioned was maybe creating a Facebook group regarding the kind of reverse trunk or treat that we can kind of.
Yeah, I could set that up and then we could share it as needed.
Yeah, and then I can push people towards that. Maybe we can have a larger conversation and get some of the residents that I know on Facebook to join that group and discuss get something together pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That'd be awesome.
I'll get on that then.
Okay. Any other thoughts regarding trunk or treat? Okay. The next agenda item was ProMedica. ProMedica was awarded the Michigan Health Endowment Fund grant, and I attended their last meeting, and they were talking about a community partnership with the community garden in mind, and being able to help with resources, education, and even some finances to help build that community garden. My church owns the lot on Erie Street that we're holding for the resident coalition. At whatever time the coalition becomes its own nonprofit, that it will take over that property. But that's the property that we're looking at for this community garden project in partnership with ProMedica and the resident coalition and any other community partners that we can add as a part of that. So we're looking. Can you do me a favor? Can you add that person and just press admit to add that person to the Zoom competition? So we just yeah. No. So we're looking to sorry. So we're looking to have that conversation as well with ProMedica. So I'm gonna begin with Frank Nagel with ProMedica. just to talk more about that and see what that looks like, and see if we can come up with some kind of a design for what the garden may look like, and bring that back to the resident coalition. And I may even see if Frank Nagel's able to come to the next coalition meeting and talk more about that project and what resources are available to the coalition for a community garden project. So I just wanted to just kind of put that out there. Do we have any community updates? Anything going on in the community that anyone would like to speak to?
I have something.
Okay.
Let me get my picture up. This Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Armory, the City Commission, the mayor has called a special meeting at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. It will be live in person, both for the commission and for the public. We will be reviewing the candidates for city commissioner. We have that open position. It's been open for a year. We're finally able to fill it. We've taken 30 days to collect applications. Those applications are being reviewed now by the commissioners. We will discuss them and interview the candidates. I think there's 6 candidates. Is that right, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've got 6 candidates that we will be interviewing on Wednesday evening. And following those interviews, we will, commissioners will discuss and make an appointment so that we have a full complement on the city commission. Public's welcome. Love to have you come. Just bring your face mask and we'll be in good shape.
What I don't know is if we will have Zoom capabilities or not. They were trying to figure it out. We were doing this all on Friday because of all of the recent changes. We can only physically, per the state health department mandates, we can only have a certain amount of people in a room based on square footage. So our city chambers could only have 37 people. Obviously, if you have all the commission, the few staff that need to be there, plus the 6 candidates, it wasn't going to leave a lot of room for the public. That's why we have temporarily moved it down to the Armory. I don't know how long we'll be there. I don't know if that'll be continuing for a while for commission meetings or not. But luckily, we were just lucky that Mark and Mary Murray said we could use it. They already had it set up. It was, it's, that way that everybody can come. We can keep them all socially distanced and we can stay within the state mandate and make sure that, we are doing what we're supposed to be doing to keep everyone safe. What we were trying to figure out on Friday, and I had not gotten a reply because they were trying to figure it out still, was the capabilities of Zoom, because the problem is it's not even so much you listening, it's being an active participant, and that's why they weren't really sure that we had the capabilities. We don't really have that technology for a bigger space like that, and making it very difficult to hear anything, but especially for us to hear anybody that's on there. So the last I knew, it's just open to the public, and we're leaving it as a regular meeting, where just like we were running before COVID. But obviously everybody has to wear a mask and everybody will be spaced out. The chairs are all going to be spaced out. We just ask if you attend, you're not moving chairs, because you will be asked to put them back where they were, because we want to make sure we're keeping this as safe as possible. But this also just goes with, like, city commission is the county commission is actually meeting this week, and they were going to be in person. And I know Joaquin had touched on it a little bit in his discussion about us talking about, going back to in-person meetings. But it actually just came about because of the overruling of, Governor Whitmer's executive orders and things like that. And just that, and then our county releasing a statement that we didn't have to abide by that 21 days and we needed to go back, and so that basically took away that virtual meeting mandate, which is why now we can be back in person. We were trying to accommodate, because we discussed it, and that's why I don't know if we ever got a hold of anybody that can have capabilities. We were still discussing, though, that some people are just not going to be able to, because they might be sick or they might have symptoms. We ask, if you have symptoms, you're not going to come. but that we wanted to have that option to keep people on Zoom, but we just don't know if it's a possibility right now, but it's something we're looking into. So.
Thank you.
Can I say one thing about the Christmas tree too? I did find out, I knew I had it in my stuff. I just had to go looking for it. We can begin decorating the day after Thanksgiving. So the trees will be up and they will all have the lights on them by Thanksgiving. So it's November 27th and it has to be finished by December 4th, like by 4 p.m. because that evening I'm not sure we're going to keep the tree lighting on that Friday evening. We're not sure yet, but it'll be right in that same weekend as when they will be lighting the trees. So that's why that's why we need it. You basically have exactly a week to get that, the tree decorated for that. So I just want to give you a little heads up on that one. And I did want to say, I have been working, Jim Berryman has done the Comstock Christmas tree lighting in the past, and he had asked if I wanted him to continue when I became mayor, and I said sure, but I wanted to take a more active role. So Jim and I have been working on this. We started back in like April deciding, oh no, we may have to go virtual for the Christmas tree lighting. So we started coming up with ideas and thoughts, and then we were thinking maybe we're going to be okay by then, and looking even at the guidelines and talking, I know that the city attorney, the city administrator, and I poured over like documents and trying to figure out, what was best. And we just decided it really is best for the city because there is still a limit and people have to stay socially distanced. I know it's kind of sad, but we're going to try to make it really cool, but we are going to keep the tree lighting virtual. Okay. So, it's just that could become that usually has like at least 1,000 people at it, even when it hasn't been trying to break a record. There's always been so many people down there, and it's very hard to stay socially distanced. And we don't really know what that climate is going to look like by that time. The one plug I wanted to put out for that is if you know of anybody, they can contact me, but I'm going to be really inundating social media in this next week. There's going to be something on the city website. I'm looking for, they can be church groups, they can be neighborhood groups, they can be dance teams, they can be a choral group somehow that you know of. We want things in that Christmas theme, like doing, maybe it's, a liturgical dance from a church group. Maybe it's a choir from somewhere that's going to sing a Christmas song, and we're going to do like a really big video montage, like at the beginning of the Christmas tree lighting before we actually light all of Comstock Park. And it's going to be like, this is Adrian, and I want it to be from all areas of Adrian. I want it to be all about Adrian. I want it, maybe it's a group that's like rapping a Christmas song. Like I want it to really encompass our full community. So if you can please help me get that word out. They're just going to have to send video, and we'll have to have a deadline. I'm working on that with a person that's going to actually put this all together for us. And so what it will be is the virtual Christmas tree lighting will start out, with this. Like, this is Adrian, and we're going to take it all that way. We've already gotten somebody to donate their very, very high-tech drone, and they're very good at it. And they're going to actually be above the Comstock Park. And then we'll do like a countdown, and you're going to see it all happen on a live stream. And after that video, of everybody from Adrian, and then that's going to be showing the lights from up above, and then it's actually going to come down and it's going to zoom through all the trees. So I just wanted to kind of let you know what that's going to look like, just to kind of give you a heads up on that. The other thing is, it's not a done deal yet, but we think we're going to get it. We were actually down there, me, the city engineer, and Jim Berryman, like a week ago. That's when I saw you, D'Angelo. That's what I was doing there. We think we have some grant money secured and donations. It's nothing that's going to come out of anything related to city budget at all. And we're going to have some speakers permanently put down there. and it won't be too loud for like the high rise that's nearby, and it's going to turn off at a certain time, but it'll actually be like Christmas music like pumping through there, so that you can come down and be socially distanced and enjoy Comstock Park and come see the tree you decorate, come see all the trees and walk through with your family, walk through with your friends. But it'll give it more spirit, especially since this is going to be a virtual tree lighting. We wanted to kind of give more power to the actual time you come down and enjoy the park with your family and make it more festive. So I just wanted to let everybody know how that was shaping up. So.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Any other community updates?
Not really community update, but absentee ballots are come out. I urge everyone to vote. And since there hasn't been a whole lot of conversation on it, and well, also with the vote, of course, as Secretary of the Illinois County Democratic Party and Chair of the Illinois County Democratic Socialists of America, you can probably guess where my leanings are. But since there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about, I just want to very briefly talk about the state proposal, State Proposal 1, the use of state and local park funds amendment. And I just want to recommend everyone to vote no on that, partly because of voting yes would mean that some of the money that they spend keeping the parks, like the wildlife and the plants of the park, would actually have to be spent on some of the actual infrastructure, so the buildings and stuff. And yeah, those are important, but mandates a relatively large amount of it. I don't think that's wise for the future of our parks. And it also raises the cap, and the cap is fed by money of selling off oil and natural gas. So more pollutants to be able to fund something to help the ecology of the area seems a little counterproductive. So of course, do your own research, but I urge you to vote no on State Proposal 1.
Okay, hearing none. One, just make everyone aware the Community Action Agency is offering a few courses this year. They're all done by Zoom, none of them done in person. So it's the Financial Stability course, Crisis Budget for the Holiday course, HBE, and I totally forgot what that stands for. I meant to write that down. And also I attended the meeting with the Community Action Agency, and at some point when the social distance and mandates are they're lifted, when they're lifted, then I did have a conversation with the Community Action Agency about bringing these classes into the community, into the neighborhood, and actually utilizing our facility to make these classes available to residents here. Then we have the transportation issues, and we've been discussing that as well. So Community Action Agency has agreed that when the time comes available to do that, that they will consider bringing these courses into the neighborhood so they're available for local residents to take advantage of. So that was a positive. Outside of that, the next meeting is scheduled for November 15th, 2020. And I know the second Sunday, I think is the 8th, but I'm committed to another activity for that day. I know I'm going to be kind of running tight. I know I wouldn't be able to make it at 2 o'clock. So it's all right with everyone here in the coalition that we schedule the next meeting for November 15th at 2 p.m., which is the third Sunday of the month. All right. Other than that, I want to thank everybody for coming out and for joining. Let's do it that way. For joining today and being a part of the coalition meeting. And look forward to seeing everyone again on the 15th. Socorro, I'll be getting a hold of you as well, so that we can talk more about trunk or treat and probably a few other ones as well. But thank you for your time, and see you next time. Thanks.
Take care, everyone.